Well, at last it's time and perfect time for my next album review. Can you guess? Of course you can see from my title, duh. But still, I'll ask, can you guess what extreme metal band has finally released their new album that has pretty much, well, if not invented, they are the pioneers, one of the pioneers of grindcore, early grindcore, and later melodic death metal. Yes, of course, we are talking about one of my favorite extreme metal bands. Yes, after 8 long years, it's finally here. Very simple cover art, but cool. Carcass, Torn Arteries. And yeah, today is this album's official release date, but I got this yesterday. So I've been listening now, I think 3 times already, and yeah, it's a blast. Really nice album. But I gotta admit, at first time listening, I might even say either I was just, not in a right state of mind to listen to this, or I was just a little bit disappointed. Maybe my expectations were higher or way too high, but as I listened it second time and third time, it really grew fast on me, the whole album. And I can surely say, well, in my opinion, this is better album than their last 2013 Surgical Steel. And let me show you the back cover. There's a vegetable heart, also back cover, and the track listing. Yeah, so long wait. Long 8 years have passed since the Surgical Steel, and I still kind of feel that album isn't that old, but yeah, time flies. But yeah, this really grew fast on me with the second and third listening. Because yeah, it could have been that the first time I listened, I was, like I said, not in a state of mind to. Maybe I was just not focusing on I couldn't focus on the album that good. Like in the second and third time. But yeah, this is like I would say that this pretty much follows the same kind of formula that Surgical Steel started. So there are faster songs, more songs that are similar to hard work, even I would say necrotism, but yeah, definitely more towards hard work style. And then there are tracks that are, much more familiar to Swan Song song. So yeah, I would say this is somewhere between. I'm not sure if I was saying that same thing on my head when I first heard Surgical Steel. I thought this is like somewhere in between Heartwork and Swan Song, but there you go. I may say it again, but this sounds like somewhere a mixture of those albums and just a little bit of necrotism uh, thrown in the mix. Uh, but yeah, like I said, this is a better album in my opinion than Surgical Steel, and that's because I would say this takes a little bit more risks, you know, in the terms of songwriting, the familiarity. Uh, there are some new touches in this album that Carcass haven't earlier have experienced with. So there are even some progressive stuff, which was quite surprising. I didn't really expect that, but I love progressive elements on metal, or uh, I would say more to extreme metal, especially in extreme metal. I just love progressive elements, technical or progressive, but yeah, maybe more towards progressive nowadays. Um, and yeah, this album was already done in, I think this was recorded in the starting at the end of 2018, and the recording ended in 2019, mid 2019. So it took a little bit, about half a year or a little bit more. But of course, this album was delayed, I think, couple of times because of the pandemic. Uh, so that is official confirmation from the band that this should have been released like much earlier, even, okay, not 2019, but definitely last year, and it just delayed to, you know, the fall of this year. But yeah, uh, 8 years is, I mean, it doesn't really matter because the waiting was already so long. So 1 year here and there doesn't really matter. And yeah, so the recordings itself are already, you know, 2-3 year old, but who gives a fuck? uh, and the band consists of, you know, the trio that was in the Surgical Steel. Dan Wielding, the drummer, of course, Bill Stair, guitarist, backing vocalist, and Jeff Walker, bassist and main vocalist. And also they have second guitarist, but the second guitarist, Tom Draper, doesn't perform here. So he's just a live guitarist now. So and of course, if he will still be in the band when Carcass releases next album, maybe in 10 years or something, or even longer. We'll see how long we need to wait for album after this. But let's talk about this first. Yeah, so I'm going to talk about a little bit, going through the songs. So there are 10 songs on the album, and the first track is also the title track, Torn Arteries, and that is definitely a good opener, you know, very, very okay, not very fast, but definitely one of the faster songs on the album. Really good melodies. Also one of the most brutal songs on the album. Yeah, like a really good opener song. 4 minute song, quite normal length, I would say, or even maybe a little shorter side for a Carcass song. But yeah, I would say about normal length track. So yeah, I would say definitely one of my favorites so far. Uh, the second track, Dance of Ixtab, um, that song was actually officially released before this album. It was uh, one of the singles from the album, and I've already heard that before I got this album, and that is much more, groovier, very groovy, slower song. Really reminds me of, uh, you know, from the era of Swan Song, or I could say Hard Work, also the slower, groovier songs from the Hard Work. So very good song that too. Then Ilian or Rigor Mortis, third song. That is quite fast song also, uh, after the slower Dance of Ixtab. Really good song. Maybe not one of my favorites, but yeah, like I would say there are no bad songs here. Definitely no bad songs whatsoever. Uh, then the fourth track, Under the Scalpel Blade. Well, that is the oldest song from. That was like the first ever released, track uh, from Torn Arteries back in, I would say, maybe, was it even 2019, or okay, last year maybe, yeah, 2020. And I was kind of, I didn't know that track. I'm not sure if it was already confirmed back then when they released that song that it will be included in the next full album. So I wasn't sure. I thought that it would be a EP song or just single, not going to go into this album, but it is. And yeah, that's a really standard, I would say the most standard Carcass song on the album. Uh, but that's not a bad thing, of course. Really good song, but yeah, that was very familiar to me already. Uh, yeah, and after that, The Devil Rides Out. That is a really, again, a really groovy, the slower ones on the album, but really groovy and really nice drumming. That song has like really nice drumming that I immediately noticed, and it's definitely one of my favorites. I would say top 4 tracks on the album. Yeah, I would say really good song. And then comes the epic, all uh, I was saying almost 10-minute epic song, so very long. Like, is it even longest Carcass song they have ever made? Might be, but yeah, just couple of seconds shorter than 10 minutes. So I would say 10-minute epic song, Flesh Ripping Sonic Torment Limited. Uh, excellent song. That could be my favorite on the album. Yeah, I love long tracks. That is one reason, but not only that. Of course, that's not the sole reason. This track has those that I mentioned, uh, those progressive elements, those new elements to Carcass that I haven't heard before, pretty much. Uh, so that track definitely has some progressive elements. Uh, just awesome song. Yeah, I would say my favorite right now, but it can change, of course. Only listen this 3 times. And after that comes the another single, Kelly Smith Emporium, that was released a couple of months ago, I think. I really like that song, and like Under the Scalpel Blade, it's one of the most, standard Carcass songs, one of the faster songs. Yeah, really blast. And then In God We Trust. Um, well, I have to say I can't really remember that song so well. It doesn't mean it's worse than other songs, but there just isn't really those memorable moments that you would just immediately like remember, oh, that song, that badass riff, or just part of the song. Yeah, not so there aren't, you know those memorable moments or parts of the song, but it's overall good song, but maybe a little bit, you know uh, too safe, or just too, yeah, I would say maybe too safe. Doesn't have really those, surprising memorable moments. And after that, Wake Up and Smell the Carcass, Cabit Emptor. uh, um, that again, uh, there weren't for me not so many memorable moments in that track, but it was definitely a more groovier songs again on the album. Mm, but yeah, what I remember, it's somewhere in between, for me on the album, as far as how the song goes, how good it is. It's in the middle. Um, and the last song, the Scythe's Remorseless Swing. Uh, yeah, really groovy. A very good ending song. Really groovy. Has some really nice. Actually, that has some memorable, nice parts. So a very good ending of the album. So there are very good, the title track Torn Arteries is a really good uh, start for the album, and the Sky's Remorseless Swing is really good ending song. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much it, and I would give this album, um, okay, in comparison, I would say nowadays I would give Surgical Steel maybe 7.5 out of 10, or even maybe 8. No, okay, 7.5 out of 10. So this will definitely be then 1 point better, so 8.5 out of 10. Yeah, this gets from me 8.5 out of 10. Definitely a better follower to Surgical Steel, and yeah, overall very much worth worth the wait of 8 long years. So there you go. There's another look on the vegetable heart. Yeah, I really like. At first, I was like, okay, the background is just white, and it was kind of kind of surprising. But yeah, I actually really like it. It's so simple, but yet so artistic. Yeah. So yeah, it was about time for my another album review, because yeah, I definitely keep on doing album reviews now and then, and this was just the perfect time, you know, the release date of new fucking Carcass album. Fuck yeah, and I'm really happy about it. Carcass, Torn Arteries from Nuclear Blast. Right, so see you in the next one.